The morning sun in Austin always felt like a promise, but lately, for me, Ms. Reed, it just felt like another alarm clock, dragging me out of dreams and into a day that often felt heavier than it should. At 42, I was a middle school science teacher, and I loved it more than words could say. The smell of Bunsen burners, the excited gasps when a chemical reaction went just right, the spark of understanding in a student's eyes, that was my fuel. My classroom was my sanctuary, a place where curiosity wasn't just allowed, it was celebrated. I spent my days trying to unlock the universe for my students, from the smallest atom to the farthest star. I believed in every single one of them, even the ones who slumped in their chairs or stared out the window. My personal life was simpler, quieter. No family of my own, just me, my old house, and a deep-seated hope that I was making a difference. But hope, I was learning, didn't pay the bills or fix a sputtering engine. Our school district was tightening its belt, cutting programs, and the whispers of potential layoffs were a constant, chilling draft in the staff lounge. It meant fewer resources for my precious science experiments, less time for individual students, and a tightening knot of worry in my stomach about my own future. My car, a faithful but ancient sedan, was groaning louder each day, threatening to give up the ghost completely, and I just didn't have the savings for a major repair. Then there was Maya. She was a quiet girl in my 8th grade class, small for her age, with eyes that seemed to hold a galaxy of unspoken thoughts, usually focused on the worn-out cover of her textbook rather than the lesson. Her grades were slipping, and her attendance was patchy. I knew she was brilliant. I'd seen glimpses of it when she'd ask a question so insightful it made me pause, or when she'd quietly correct a peer with an accuracy that surprised even me. But she was like a delicate flower trying to bloom in a hurricane, constantly pulled back by an unseen force. My internal nemesis wasn't just the fear of losing my job or being unable to afford my car repair. It was the gnawing doubt that I wasn't enough, that I couldn't reach Maya, that I was failing her and others like her. I feared that my own struggles were dimming my light, making me less effective, less inspiring. I worried that my quiet passion for science and for helping children was no match for the very real, very big problems that some of them, like Maya, faced every single day. The weight of that fear, the fear of letting a brilliant mind like her slip away, felt like the heaviest burden of all. I tried. Oh, how I tried. I stayed late almost every day, offering extra help, just hoping Maya would show up. I'd leave encouraging notes on her desk, simple messages like, "Great question today," or "You're closer than you think." I even started a small, after-school science club with the few materials I still had, hoping a less formal setting might draw her out. And sometimes it worked. She'd linger after class, asking a shy question about black holes or the ocean's depths, her eyes momentarily lighting up before dimming again. Her grades would show a tiny flicker of improvement, enough to give me a burst of hope. Outside of school, I cut every corner I could. I started walking to the grocery store instead of driving, packed my lunch every day, and canceled the one small streaming service I allowed myself. I even picked up a few hours working at the library on weekends, just to try and build up a meager car repair fund. But the universe, it seemed, had a cruel sense of timing. Just when Maya's attendance seemed to stabilize, her grades plummeted again, harder than before. She started missing entire weeks of school, and when she did come, her eyes were red-rimmed and distant. I tried calling her home, but the number often went straight to voicemail, or I'd speak to someone who sounded harried and vague. Then the school budget cuts became more than whispers. My favorite science lab, the one with the microscopes and the old fossil collection, was put on the chopping block, and 2 of my most dedicated colleagues received layoff notices. My own contract was still safe for now, but the air was thick with uncertainty. And my car. My old sedan decided to make its final, dramatic stand. It gave out completely on the freeway during rush hour, leaving me stranded and utterly helpless. The tow truck driver, a kind but pragmatic man, gave me a repair estimate that made my stomach drop. It was more than I'd saved in months of scrimping, more than I could possibly afford. I was stuck. No car, no easy way to get to work, and the weight of trying to reach Maya felt heavier than ever. My lowest point hit me the day I learned from a hushed conversation among administrators that Maya was not just struggling. Her family was facing eviction, and they were seriously considering pulling her out of school entirely to move out of state for a cheaper place to live, far from any of the support systems she had, however fragile. That night, alone in my quiet house, with the silence amplifying the hum of defeat in my head, I truly felt like giving up. What was the point? I couldn't even keep my own car running, let alone save a child from a life of hardship. My efforts felt like drops in an ocean, completely insignificant. I questioned everything: my career, my purpose, my ability to make any difference at all. The doubt, my internal nemesis, screamed louder than ever before. I felt isolated, utterly alone in my struggles, and the thought of facing another day, another classroom, another quiet, desperate plea to Maya to just try felt impossible. I cried until my eyes burned, until there were no more tears left, just a hollow ache in my chest. I considered writing my resignation letter. Maybe I just wasn't cut out for this. Maybe I was just another tired teacher trying her best but ultimately failing. But then, a stubborn ember flickered within me. It wasn't logic or a sudden burst of energy. It was just a small, persistent voice that whispered, "What about Maya?" I couldn't save her from everything, but I could do one last thing. I could let her know she mattered. I sat down at my kitchen table, not to write a resignation, but to write to her. I wrote for hours, pouring out my heart onto the page, telling her about the first time I saw her quiet brilliance, about the questions she asked that made me think, about the potential I saw shining in her, even when she couldn't see it herself. I didn't sugarcoat the difficulties. I acknowledged the immense strength it took just for her to walk through the school doors. I told her that life was hard, that sometimes it felt like the world was pushing against you, but that she had an inner strength, a unique light that the world desperately needed. I told her that she was capable of anything, that her mind was a treasure, and that no matter what happened, I believed in her, truly and deeply, with every fiber of my being. It wasn't just a teacher's encouragement, it was a plea from one struggling human to another, a raw, honest testament of belief. I folded the letter carefully, slipped it into an envelope, and addressed it to her. This was my leap of faith. The next morning, I walked to school, the letter clutched in my hand, my old shoes slapping against the pavement, feeling a strange mix of despair and defiant hope. I put the letter on her desk before class, just before the bell rang. Later that week, things slowly, almost imperceptibly, began to shift. Maya showed up for school, and she had the letter clutched in her hand, crumpled but clearly cherished. Her eyes, still weary, held a new, fragile spark. She started participating in class, her voice soft but clear. It was a slow climb, but she was climbing. And then, the ripple effect of kindness returned to me. I had been making arrangements to borrow a friend's car for my increasingly long commute when a surprising phone call came. It was Mr. Henderson, the father of a student I had taught years ago, now a successful mechanic in town. He had heard through the school grapevine about my car troubles, and he simply said, "Ms. Reed, you helped my son believe in himself when no one else would. You gave him a future. Let me help you with yours." He didn't just fix my car, he found used parts that were still good, worked on it after hours, and refused to let me pay him more than a fraction of the cost. He told me, "Consider it paid forward, Ms. Reed. You earned it 100 times over." I stood in his garage, tears streaming down my face, realizing I wasn't alone. That single act of unexpected kindness, born from a seed I had planted years ago, was a lifeline when I needed it most. It wasn't just my car that was fixed, my spirit was repaired too. From that day forward, Maya blossomed. The belief I had planted in her, watered by her own resilience and the growing stability of her home life. Her family managed to secure a new apartment nearby after the school community rallied to offer support, took root and flourished. Her grades soared, she devoured science books, and she became a quiet leader in class, helping other struggling students with a gentle patience I recognized as my own. She eventually graduated at the top of her class, not just from our middle school, but from high school too, and went on to college. I continued teaching, but with a renewed sense of purpose, a deeper understanding of the profound impact of just one person's belief. I never forgot Maya, or Mr. Henderson, or that feeling of desperate hope at my kitchen table. I started a small fund for struggling students, using some of my own salary, and I always made sure to leave those little notes of encouragement, knowing now, with absolute certainty, the immense power they held. I sought out the quiet ones, the ones who hid their brilliance, remembering Maya's journey and my own. Years flew by, bringing new students, new challenges, and new joys. Then, one crisp autumn day, an elegant invitation arrived in the mail. It was for a medical school graduation ceremony. The name on the invitation made my heart leap, Dr. Maya Rodriguez. I sat in the audience, a quiet smile on my face, watching as she walked across the stage, a confident, brilliant young woman, a testament to resilience and the ripple effect of belief. After the ceremony, she found me in the crowd, her eyes shining. "Ms. Reed," she said, her voice stronger, clearer than I remembered, "I never forgot that letter. It changed everything." It gave me the courage to keep going, to believe I could make a difference. She smiled, a deep, genuine smile, and then added, "You know, the hardest part of medical school was the late nights, the times I felt like giving up. But then I'd remember your words. You have an inner strength, a unique light that the world desperately needs. And I'd remember how you said you believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. So thank you. Thank you for making me a doctor." In that moment, watching Dr. Maya Rodriguez, I realized that my act of kindness, born from my own lowest point, hadn't just saved her. It had saved me too, giving my life a purpose and showing me the enduring, powerful truth. Sometimes, the greatest strength we find is in believing in someone else, and sometimes, the greatest kindness we receive is simply being seen.